Beloved child, draw near to me, and let your heart stop condemning itself by the harsh measures of the world. You look at the parts of yourself that are still weak, still clumsy, still marked by seasons of mistakes, and you think that this has disqualified you from being called by me. But I look at you with different eyes. I do not only see what you have done, I see what I placed within you before you even knew your own name. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. As Jeremiah 105 says, that word was not only for an ancient prophet, but also a whisper I place over every soul I have kept for a holy purpose. You are not the leftover portion of life. You are not a story written wrongly and then abandoned halfway. You are a creation touched by me with intention, cherished by me with mercy, and invited by me to step into a journey where grace is stronger than the past. Do not think that I only seek those who already shine brightly, who are already strong, who are so steady that they no longer tremble. If I only used vessels without cracks, who would testify that my light can shine through places once broken. If I only called those who had never fallen, who would tell the world that my mercy has the power to lift up again. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. As 1 Corinthians 1:27 says, not so that you would take growth lightly, but so that you would understand that the foundation of your calling does not rest in your perfection, but in my power. I did not place my hand upon your life because you had made yourself worthy. I placed my hand upon you because my love can accomplish within you what your own strength could never complete. Being called by me is not a medal reserved for the spotless, but an open door for a soul willing to let me transform it day by day. Perhaps many times you have quietly told yourself that you were too weak, too slow, too full of shortcomings to step into something new. I have heard all those words. Beloved child, I have heard even the sighs you never spoke aloud, the shame you tried to hide behind a calm appearance, and the moments when you wondered whether I still wanted to use someone like you. But hear me with the deepest part of your soul. I do not change my mind about you simply because you have had seasons of stumbling. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. As Philippians 1:6 says, what I began is not as fragile as your emotions, not as weak as the judgments of people, and not canceled by one painful chapter from the past. I am the one who can take ashes and raise beauty from them. Take the night and prepare the dawn. Take the places where you once failed and teach you humility, compassion, and perseverance. Remember Gideon, who was threshing wheat in a hidden place to escape the enemy, his heart full of fear, seeing himself as the least in a weak family. But my angel came to him and called him not according to what he was feeling, but according to what I had placed within him. The Lord is with you, mighty warrior, as Judges 6:12 says. Do you see? I call you by the identity I have given you, not by the fear that is covering you. Gideon did not begin as a hero in his own eyes. He began as someone trembling before a calling greater than his own strength. But as he learned to walk in obedience, weakness became the place where my power moved. In the same way, you do not need to wait until you no longer tremble before you step forward. There are battles you will win, not because you are absolutely confident, but because you know how to lean on me with every breath. And, my child, even the parts of you that were once broken are not beyond my redeeming hand. The world often throws away what is cracked, but I can turn the cracks into channels through which healing oil may flow. A heart that has known pain will more easily recognize the cries of others. A soul that has passed through the depths will know how to bend down and offer a hand to someone who is trapped. A person who has been forgiven much will understand the value of mercy in a profound way. Remember the Samaritan woman at the well, who carried many layers of brokenness and longing, thinking that her life was only a story hidden beneath the noon sun. But when my son met her, he did not crush her with shame. He opened within her a spring of living water. Then, the very woman who had once avoided the gaze of her community ran back to tell many people about the Messiah. Whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. As John 40:14 says, that is how I work. Beloved child, I do not merely soothe your thirst. I also turn your life into an invitation for souls that are dry and weary. Therefore, do not see the past as the final chain upon your life. When you bring it and place it in my hands, the pages that once wounded you can become evidence of grace. I did not choose you so that you would carry another religious burden, nor did I call you so that you would struggle to prove your worth in the eyes of others. I called you into life, into closeness, into meaning, into a journey where every step you take with me can release the fragrance of restoration. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. As 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, let that word touch the place where you still feel small and insecure. When you are weak, yet cling to me, you are not being left behind. You are in the very place where my power can lift you up. When you feel small, yet are willing to open your heart, you are not useless. You become the soil where the seeds of heaven can grow. Now, I want you to lift your head, not in pride, but in the gentle confidence that you belong to me. Stop calling yourself by the old names that pain once placed upon you. I call you beloved. I call you redeemed. I call you a vessel I am restoring, a lamp I am filling with oil, a seed I am awakening beneath soil that seemed silent and still. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. As Isaiah 43:1 says, keep walking. Beloved child, even if the first step is small, open your heart. Even if it still tremble, let me work within you. Not only once and then no more, but day by day, season by season, through every deep layer of your soul. For when I breathe life into a person, what is small is no longer ordinary. When I place my love upon a life, the past is no longer a sentence of condemnation. And when I have called you, all of heaven knows that your story is still being written with light, with grace, and with my faithfulness that never runs dry. Beloved child, when I place a calling upon your life, I do not promise that every path will be covered with flowers, nor do I say that the sky before you will always be clear and free of clouds. But I promise something more certain than ease. I will go with you. To be chosen is not to be exempt from trials, but to be held by the hand of the one who never fails in the midst of them. There are paths I lead you into that cannot be walked by natural understanding and cannot be overcome by human strength alone. Only faith is tender enough to obey and strong enough to continue. Therefore, when you find yourself passing through days without clear direction, do not be quick to think that you have wandered away from my will. Often, the place without a map is the very place where you learn to recognize my hand. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you, as Psalm 32:8 says. That word is the lamp I place within your heart, so that you may know that even when you cannot yet see the whole road, I still see every turn, every deep pit, every door, and every dawn waiting ahead. Understand this, my child. I am not refining you to make you afraid. I am refining you to make you steadfast. I do not test your heart to make you collapse. I allow seasons of trial to come, so that you may recognize that your true foundation is not found in emotions, circumstances, or the results before your eyes, but in me himself. Mature faith does not only sing praises when prayers are answered. It also knows how to bow and trust when the sky remains silent. That faith does not say, I believe because I have understood, but rather says, I believe because Father is good. For we walk by faith, not by sight, as 2 Corinthians 5:97 says, this is the path of the souls I lead deeper into life. When you do not yet see the result, I am still sowing. When you have not yet heard the answer, I am still preparing. When you think everything is motionless, I am still quietly moving things you cannot see with natural eyes. Perhaps right now you are standing in a quiet season, where doors seem to have closed, prayers seem to fall into emptiness, and your heart begins to grow weary from waiting. But beloved child, do not fear my silence. Silence is not absence. Silence can be the holy room, where I am rewriting the deepest lines of your life. A tailor does not display the whole garment, while every stitch is still being completed. A potter does not hastily hand over the vessel, while the clay still needs to be reshaped in his hands. In the same way, I am working in your hidden places, untangling old fears, healing silent wounds, softening the parts of you that had to protect themselves for too long, and teaching you to rest instead of carrying everything by force. Be still and know that I am God. As Psalm 40:60-10 says, that stillness is not an invitation for you to give up, but a call for you to return to the source of strength that never runs dry. Remember Ruth, the daughter of Moab, who walked a path that seemed filled only with loss and uncertainty. She left her homeland and followed Naomi in poverty, with no guarantee except faithfulness and a quiet love for what was right. In the eyes of people, Ruth was only a foreign widow gleaning in the field, but in my eyes, each small step of hers was being led into a plan far greater than she could see. She did not know that Boz's field was not only a place with grain for today, but also a doorway into restoration, honor, and a lineage through which the Redeemer would come into history. Do you see? There are days when you think you are only surviving hour by hour, only gathering small fragments of grace enough for today. Yet I am using that very quiet faithfulness to lead you into a portion of blessing you cannot yet imagine. The Lord gives grace and glory. No good thing does he withhold from those who walk uprightly, as Psalm 84:11 says. Do not despise small steps, for in my hand, one act of obedience can open an entire season of destiny. Therefore, when you do not understand why you must wait, let your heart be anchored in my nature. I never forget a promise. I am never late. I do not mishandle your life. What I do may exceed your understanding, but it is never far from my love for you. At times, I use delay to protect you from what is not yet mature. At times, I use trials to make you grow into something greater than what you asked for. At times, I close a door not to reject you, but to lead you to a door that is more right, more profound, and more aligned with the calling I have placed upon you. All things work together for good for those who love God, as Romans 8:28 says, which means that even the things you do not yet understand are not beyond my redeeming power. I can turn waiting into a school of wisdom, tears into anointing oil, detours into entrances to true blessing, and days that seem hidden into the foundation for the season, when you will stand firm in the light. Beloved child, I am teaching you a kind of strength different from what the world honors. The world tells you that you must control, must prove yourself, must run faster, must know every outcome in advance. But I teach you the strength of surrender. That strength is not loud, but it is deeply enduring. It does not need to boast, because it knows it is being upheld by everlasting arms. When you pause in me, you are not becoming weaker, you are being restored. When you release what you cannot hold by yourself, you are not failing. You are making room for me to move. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles, as Isaiah 4:31 says. Let that word sink into the place where you are weary. Waiting upon me is not standing still in despair, but remaining in the confidence that I am coming at the right time, in the right way, with something better than what you are forcing yourself to grasp. Now, I want you to keep walking, even if slowly, even if your tears are still wet, even if your hands are still trembling. I do not require you to be strong according to human definitions before you follow me. I only want you not to let go of my hand. Every step you take in faith, however small, has value in my eyes. Every time you choose trust, instead of sinking into anxiety, you are allowing your soul to grow. Every time you say, I still trust you, Father, in the midst of what you do not understand. Heaven recognizes a beautiful act of obedience. Be at peace, for I know the way you take. Rest, for my eyes are still fixed upon you. Continue to listen, for among 1,000 noises, my voice still gently calls you toward life. And remember, you do not need to hold the entire journey in your hands. You only need to hold mine. I am your Father, your guide, the one who keeps his word, the one who turns every season of your life into part of the eternal story of grace that I am writing with love that never changes. Beloved child, listen to my voice in the deepest place of your soul. What you call breakthrough does not begin on the outside, but begins where your heart is willing to open before my grace. People often think breakthrough is a great door suddenly swinging open, a circumstance changing, a miracle that makes every eye take notice. But I tell you that true breakthrough first happens when the invisible chains within your heart fall away, when fear no longer controls your steps, when old words of condemnation no longer have the power to define you, when you rise in the freedom of one who knows they belong to me. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, as 2 Corinthians 3:17 says, and that freedom is not only escape from a circumstance, but escape from the inner prison that has made you live smaller than what I created you to be. Sometimes you ask me to change the world around you, but because I love you, I begin by changing the world within you first. For when your soul is restored, your vision renewed, and your faith strengthened, you will step into the same circumstance with a different authority, a different peace, and a different light. Do not underestimate the seasons when you feel as though you have been buried, for a seed is not covered by soil in order to be forgotten, but to be prepared for the day it rises. There are promises I sowed within you long ago, and because you have not yet seen the green shoot, you once thought they had died in silence. But my child, deep within the soil roots are quietly finding their way. In the darkness your eyes cannot see, life is still doing its work. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. Those who go out weeping carrying seed to sow shall return with songs of joy, carrying their sheaves. As Psalm 126:6 says, your tears have not fallen into emptiness. The prayers you uttered through a choked voice have not disappeared into the night. The times you woke up weary yet still chose to say, Father, I still believe, have all been kept by me like a fragrance before my throne. Your breakthrough is not something that appears randomly on a lucky day. It is the harvest of the years when you still clung to me, when there seemed to be nothing left to hold on to. Understand that between being called by me and being sent by me, there is always a bridge called trust. You cannot step into the depths of your calling by initial zeal alone, nor can you carry what I entrust to you if your heart has not learned to rest in me. Trust does not require you to understand every reason, every turn, every silence. Trust is when you know that I am good, even when your circumstances have not yet eased. When you know that I am faithful, even when the promise still seems far away. When you know that I am working, even when your eyes only see delay. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding, as Proverbs 3:5 says. That word does not diminish your understanding, but brings it back to its rightful place beneath my wisdom. There are things I do not explain immediately, not because I want you to be confused, but because I want you to know me before you understand my plan. When you know my heart, you will not easily collapse before the things that have not yet been explained. I have seen you in the days no one knew about. I have heard you in the prayers that could not become words. I have been near you on the mornings when you smiled at others, while inside you were running out of strength. Do not think that your quiet faithfulness is small before heaven. No moment of obedience is forgotten in my hands. There were times when you could not do anything great, only tried not to give up. Times when you no longer had strong words, only a faint breath calling my name. Times when you stood before a closed door and still did not turn away from me. I have recorded all of it. God is not unjust to forget your work and the love you have shown, as Hebrews 6:10 says. Therefore, let your soul be comforted. What you have endured in secret is being turned by me into strength in the open. What you have learned in loneliness will become wisdom to guide others. What you have overcome through tears will become healing oil for those who are also broken. Remember Paul and Silas in the prison at Philippi. They were not there because they had done evil. but because they were faithful to my calling. Their backs were aching from the lashes, their feet were fastened in stocks. Darkness surrounded them on every side, and in the eyes of the world, every door had been locked. But at midnight, instead of letting pain swallow their souls, they prayed and sang praises to me. Then the earth shook. The foundations of the prison trembled. The doors flew open and the chains fell off. Do you see, beloved child, sometimes breakthrough does not begin with the sound of a key from the outside, but with a song of trust rising from a place of bondage. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, as Acts 16:25 says, and in that very night, I revealed that no prison is strong enough to hold back my calling. That story is for you today. Worship in the place where the door has not yet opened. Believe while the chains are still there, for I can shake the very foundations of what has held you captive for so long. Therefore, do not fear seasons of trial, as though they have come to destroy you. In my hands, fire does not only burn, fire also refines. Pressure does not only weary you, pressure can reveal the pure gold of faith. The things that once wounded you do not have the authority to end your story, because I am the one who continues, writing it with grace. After you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will himself restore you, make you strong, firm, and steadfast. As 1 Peter 5:10 says, I do not let you pass through the fire, so that you will carry the smell of failure, but so that you will come out with the mark of purity, humility, and power. What I am about to entrust to you does not only require hands that know how to receive, but a heart that knows how to steward it. That is why I am preparing you from within, deepening your mercy, strengthening your perseverance, purifying your motives, so that when the door opens, blessing will not lead you astray, but you will know how to use blessing as an altar that honors me. Now, beloved child, go forward in peace. Do not force yourself to run ahead of my timing, and do not remain seated in fear when I am calling you to rise. Heaven has not forgotten you. The door I promised has not lost its key. The harvest I have prepared has not been canceled by days of delay. I am coming to you not always with thunder that draws everyone's attention, but often with a gentle breeze carrying the breath of restoration, with quiet peace returning to your heart, with small strength sufficient for today. Believe that what I began beneath the dark soil will rise into the light. Believe that your prayer has touched heaven. Believe that every step you take in faith is bringing you closer to my goodwill. And when breakthrough comes, you will understand, I did not merely open a door for you to walk through. I made you yourself become a door of hope, so that others may look at your life and know that my love still heals, still sets free, still restores, and still makes all things new. Beloved child, do not be quick to measure healing by the feeling of a single day, for there are deep works I am doing within you that cannot be seen immediately with natural eyes. There are days when your heart feels light, as though you have just stepped out of a dark room, and there are days when only a passing memory from the past can make a wound you thought it closed suddenly ache again. But my child, that does not mean you have returned to where you started, nor does it mean I've stopped working. Healing is not always a flash of lightning tearing open the sky in one moment. Often it is like the dawn coming very gently, very slowly, yet no power can stop the light from spreading. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. As Psalm 147:3 says, That word does not say that I merely glance at your pain, but that I bend down, touch it, bind it up, stay with you, and patiently walk beside you until the place that once blood begins to breathe in peace. Therefore, when you still feel weak, do not condemn yourself. When tears still fall, do not think you have failed. Some tears are not signs of ruin, but water washing away old layers of pain, so that your heart may become tender again before my love. Understand that I am not returning you to exactly what you were before you were wounded, because my grace does not only repair, it recreates. You often long to go back to the time before you had ever hurt, before you had ever lost, before you had ever been wounded. But I see beyond that sorrowful longing. I want to create within you a deeper beauty, a gentler wisdom, a vaster mercy, and a strength that no longer depends on outward toughness, but is born from relying on me. I will give you beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a heavy spirit. As Isaiah 61:3 says, do you see? I do not only remove the ashes, I give beauty. I do not only wipe away tears, I place a new song upon your lips. I do not only help you survive the dry season, I make your roots grow deeper, so that when the rain of grace comes, your life will not only become green again, but also bear sweeter fruit than in the seasons before. The things you thought you had lost have not fallen out of my hands. I can turn every fragment into fertile soil, where new promises rise in the light. You have heard people say that time heals everything, but I want you to recognize a deeper truth. Time merely passes, while I am the one who steps into time to heal your soul. Years may lay dust over memories, may make pain less sharp, may help you grow accustomed to absence, but only I can touch the root of the wound. Only I can enter the locked rooms you have never dared to open to anyone. I will restore health to you, and I will heal your wounds. As Jeremiah 30:17 says, that is not a distant word of comfort, but a promise breathing with power. When you invite me in, I do not stand outside the door and blame you for why the room of your heart is so messy. I enter with gentleness, gathering each broken piece, naming every empty place, touching every crack that others cannot see. I am not ashamed of your brokenness. I am not repulsed by the parts of you that still tremble. The very place you thought was most worth hiding is where I desire to place my presence, so that it will no longer be a place of darkness, but the place where you encounter me in a deeper way. Remember Naaman, the powerful commander who carried leprosy in his body, a disease that no outward glory could hide from the helplessness within. He came seeking healing with great expectations, perhaps hoping for a majestic ritual, an immediate word, a miracle fitting his position. But I led him through a humbler path. He had to go down into the Jordan River and wash 7 times. At first, his pride rose up because that way of healing seemed too simple, too quiet, too different from what he had imagined. But when he chose to obey, each time he dipped himself into the water, he released a little more of his self-importance, a little more of his own understanding, a little more of his need to control my way of working. By the 7th time his flesh was restored like the flesh of a child. Beloved child, that story teaches you that some healings come through a process of obedience, through small repeated steps, through the humility of accepting my way, even when it does not look like what you expected. Do not despise the first time, simply because you do not yet see the result. Do not give up at the 6th time simply because the miracle has not yet appeared. There are rivers I am asking you to step into today: forgiveness, rest, honest prayer, releasing what is old, opening your heart to receive help. Keep going, for restoration may be closer than you think. I also want you to know that my restoration does not stop at soothing pain. I also restore the dignity that shame once stole, the voice that fear once silenced, the dreams that disappointment once buried, and the joy that long seasons of exhaustion have worn down. Perhaps you have called a certain season lost, failure, something beyond redemption. But in my hands, no chapter is useless if you surrender it to me. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. As Joel 20:25 says, I am not saying the past did not hurt, nor am I denying what you endured, but I have the power to redeem its meaning. I can cause what once broke you to become the place where you learn compassion. I can cause what once made you ashamed to become a testimony of mercy. I can cause the years that seem to have been taken from you to become the foundation for a maturity that could never be purchased through an easy path. Therefore, let your heart rest in me, not because every wound has disappeared today, but because the healer is with you. Do not fear the days of slow progress. Do not hate the seasons when you must learn again how to trust, how to rejoice, how to open your heart, how to rise. I am not impatient with you. So, do not be cruel to yourself. Every small step toward life is precious in my eyes. Every time you choose not to return to the old darkness, heaven rejoices. Every time you say to me in weakness, Father, please heal me more, I hear and I draw near. Those who sow in tears shall reap with joy, as Psalm 126:5 says. That harvest is being prepared by me, with a love that wastes nothing you have walked through. Trust me. Beloved child, I do not only want you to heal, I want you to bloom. I do not only want you to stand up, I want you to walk in new dignity. I do not only want you to forget the pain, I want you to know that even in the place that once hurt the most, my love can still cause glory to grow. Beloved child, rise in my gentleness, not as one forcing yourself to be strong, but as a soul who knows that you are being upheld by a hand that never lets go. There is no dark place in your life beyond my power to restore, no fragment too small for me to touch, no sorrowful chapter too late for me to continue writing with grace. Behold, I make all things new, as Revelation 21:5 says, is not only a word for a distant day in eternity, but also a declaration. I am breathing into your hidden places today. You have walked through seasons that seemed to leave only ashes. There were times when you thought you could do nothing more than survive from day to day, but I did not call you to live forever among ruins. I called you to step into healing, to clothe yourself with the peace I give, and to believe that what I am doing is not merely patching up an old life, but raising within you a new beauty, deeper, stronger, and holier. Let your heart rest in this truth. Restoration is not only that you no longer hurt as before, but that you begin to live as one who has been loved, redeemed, and lit from within. Perhaps you still wonder what your light could mean in a world so vast, so cold, and so full of shadows you cannot even name. But my child, light does not need to argue with darkness. It only needs to be present. A room filled with darkness cannot resist even a small candle once that candle is lit. In the same way, you do not need to say many words to prove what I have done within you. Live in love, in forgiveness, in faithfulness, in the tenderness of a heart that has been healed. Your very life will become a testimony. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. As Matthew 5:14 says, I did not say this to place upon your shoulders the burden of shining by your own strength, but to remind you that true light does not begin with you. You are not the sun. You are one who reflects my glory. When you stay near me, when you allow my love to soak into every thought, every word, every choice, others will see in you a warmth that does not come from the world, a peace that does not depend on circumstances, and a kindness whose source is in me. Do not despise the small things you can do in an ordinary day. A gentle word can lift someone back from the edge of despair. A silence that knows how to listen can become a refuge for a weary heart. A quiet act of kindness can be the cup of cool water I place in your hand to give to someone who is thirsty. A prayer no one hears can still move heaven, for the prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. As James 5:16 says, you often think that only great things have value. But in my kingdom, small things done with love can carry eternal weight. I used 5 loaves and 2 fish in the hands of a child to feed a great crowd. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. I used the staff in Moses' hand to reveal my power. I used a little jar of oil belonging to a widow to preserve life through a season of famine. Therefore, do not say that you have nothing to offer. If you have a willing heart, I can place light within it and cause it to touch places you never imagined. Remember Tabitha, also called Dorcas, the woman in Joppa who lived by quiet good works. She was not remembered as a king, a prophet, or someone powerful in the eyes of the world, but she sewed garments, cared for the poor, comforted widows, and allowed my love to flow through her ordinary hands. When she died, those who had been loved by her stood weeping, holding the garments she had made as evidence of a life that had shone quietly. Then I used Peter to pray, and Dorcas was raised to life. Do you see, beloved child, a humble life filled with light is never small before me. The things she did were not noisy, nor were they famous throughout the earth, but they warmed those who were cold, covered those who were in need, and made my love visible. In the same way, when you love faithfully in the place where I have planted you, you are weaving garments of grace for this world. People may not applaud, but heaven knows. Therefore, do not wait until you fully understand your mission before you begin living as one who carries light. Begin where you are standing. Let the healing within you become a gentle fragrance spreading around you. When you do not respond to hurt with bitterness, my light is shining through you. When you forgive, even though your heart has once been wounded, my light is being seen. When you choose faithfulness in small things, when you lift up someone weaker, when you refuse to let darkness turn you into someone cold, you are becoming the lamp I place on its stand. People do not light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. As Matthew 5:15 says, I do not want you to hide your light, because you fear you are not good enough, nor do I want you to display your light as though it belongs to you alone. I want you to live humbly, purely, and close to me, so that this light may shine naturally without being forced. Storms may come, but storms do not have the authority to extinguish what I am guarding. If your light were only lit by willpower, it could fade when you become exhausted. But the light I have placed within you is sustained by my presence. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. As John 1:5 says, remember this word when you feel small. The darkness may be thick, but it is not stronger than the light. The night may be long, but it cannot command the dawn not to come. One true ray of light, however small, still carries within it the nature of victory. So, do not measure yourself by the vastness of the world, but look to the one who is within you. I do not need you to become everything to everyone. I only desire that you faithfully reflect me in the portion of life I have entrusted to you. Now, walk in peace. Beloved child, let your restoration not only be something you keep hidden in your heart, but become a source of warmth for those trembling in the cold. Let the wound I have healed become the place where you learn compassion. Let the tears I have wiped away make your eyes gentler toward others. Let the years that seemed like loss become fertile soil where kindness can grow. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. As Isaiah 16:1 says, I do not tell you to arise because you are no longer weak, but because I am with you. I do not tell you to shine because you are the source of light, but because I have placed my light within you. Live, beloved child, live as one who has been healed, loved, and guided. And when you live this way, the world will not only see you, they will see traces of me. They will see that my love still touches cold hearts, that hope can still blaze forth where it seemed to have gone out, and that the one who has made you new can also make all things new. Beloved child, do not remain standing outside the threshold simply because you are waiting for the day when you feel more complete, stronger, and more worthy. If you keep waiting until there is no fear left, no weakness left, no question remaining in your heart, you will delay the very season I have opened for you. I am not looking for a flawless vessel in which to place my light. I am looking for a sincere heart that knows how to open itself to me. We have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. As 2 Corinthians 4:7 says, do you see? I place the treasure of heaven in fragile vessels, so that the world may understand that the light shining out does not come from the clay, but from the one who breathed life into that clay. Therefore, do not despise yourself because the cracks are still there. If you allow me to enter, the very places that were once fractured can become openings through which my love spreads. The light I have placed within you does not require you to perform a perfect life. It requires you to live truthfully before me. Pretending wearies the soul, but honesty opens the door for grace to flow. When you acknowledge that you need me, when you do not hide your seasons of weakness beneath a garment of pride, when you live humbly with what I have done within you, that very sincerity will touch hearts that have grown weary of polished appearances. The world does not lack loud voices, but it does lack lives that are pure, tender, and sincere. Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. As Matthew 5:16 says, I do not tell you to shine so that others will glorify you, but so that through your life, they may recognize that I am still healing, still forgiving, still making new those who are willing to return. There may be days when you feel that the path you are walking is too quiet, as though no one understands why you choose to live differently, love differently, forgive differently, and guard your heart differently. Some will see your gentleness as weakness, your faithfulness as foolishness, your holiness as something out of place in an age accustomed to compromise. But beloved child, do not let the gaze of the crowd make you forget my gaze. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. As Deuteronomy 31:6 says, when others turn away, I still face you with love. When you stand alone before what is right, you are not truly alone. My presence covers you. Heaven knows your name, and your quiet footsteps still resound before my throne like worship. Remember Nehemiah, who heard that the walls of Jerusalem had been broken down, and his heart ached as though torn open before the desolation of his people. He did not begin with a mighty army or favorable conditions. He began with tears, prayer, and a holy burden in his heart. When he rose to rebuild the wall, voices of mockery came from Sanballat and Tobiah. They laughed, threatened, tried to discourage him, and tried to pull him away from the work I had given him. But Nehemiah did not allow the noise of opposition to become stronger than my calling. He said that he was doing a great work and could not come down. My child, there are times when you must learn the same. Do not come down from your calling just to answer every voice of mockery. Do not leave my hand simply because others do not understand, and do not abandon the light simply because darkness tries to convince you that it is too small. If I have entrusted you with building something, I will also give you the strength to keep building. Therefore, live as a witness of restoration, not through a boastful voice, but through a life that has been touched by me. When you choose purity in a place filled with defilement, you are telling the world that holiness can still bloom among the dust. When you hold on to hope amid chaos, you are testifying that my peace is deeper than every upheaval. When you love in an age that easily turns selfish, you are allowing others to taste the fragrance of my kingdom. Do not let anyone despise you because of your youth, but be an example in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. As 1 Timothy 4:12 says, though you may see yourself as small, your life can still become a living letter, where I write mercy through your breath, through your choices, through the quiet actions that heaven never overlooks. Therefore, beloved child, stop asking whether you are enough according to the standard of fear. Ask this instead, am I with you? And my answer is yes. I am in your breath when you pray. I am in your trembling when you still choose what is right. I am in your tears when you forgive, even though your heart still hurts. I am in the quiet light being kindled each day as you allow me to lead you. You are not the source of the light, so you do not need to burn yourself out. Stay close to me, and I will keep the lamp within you burning. Live truthfully. Live purely. Live lovingly. Live faithfully. And that light will spread on its own. One day, someone who is cold will be warmed by your kindness. Someone who is hopeless will remember faith because of your perseverance. Someone who is lost will see in you the trace of a love that never gives up. Walk forward, my child. Do not wait until you are perfect before you begin. Begin with my presence within you. For where I am present, darkness cannot rule forever. And where a life is willing to reflect me, the world will see that my promise is still alive. Beloved child, let your heart return to the stillness I prepared for you long ago. For there are callings that do not resound amid noise, but can only be heard clearly when the soul stops running from itself. I do not stand before you to rebuke you for the days when you lost your way. I draw near to you like a father bending down beside a weary child, gently lifting your chin so that you may recognize that the light is still there. What grieves my heart is not that you once stumbled, but that there were times when you became so accustomed to the darkness that you began to think it was home. But today, as your heart begins to soften again, I am shining a ray of light into the hidden rooms you had locked tightly with fear, disappointment, and unhealed memories. I will lead the blind by a way they do not know. I will turn the darkness before them into light. As Isaiah 42:16 says, "Do you see? I do not demand that you find your own way through the night. I am the one who steps into that night, calling each fear by name, so that they may no longer rule over you like invisible shadows." There were seasons when you allowed your soul to become too full of noise. The voice of the world urging you on, the pull of the web carrying you away, the repetition of anxiety, comparison, regret, and self-blame. Those sounds are not always loud, but they wear you down little by little, until the inner place that was created to be a temple of peace becomes a crowded marketplace. I do not call you into a life so busy that it drains you dry. I call you into abundant life, where you can work without losing your soul, love without being emptied, and walk through the world while still keeping a holy space for me. Be still and know that I am God. As Psalm 46:10 says, that stillness is not an escape from responsibility, but a return to the true source of life. When you choose to sit again in my presence, the chaos begins to settle, and you will hear my voice once more, not as threatening thunder, but as a gentle breath leading you back to truth. My child, the covenant between me and you is not a fragile thread that breaks easily because of the days when your heart is weak. It is the seal of my love, deeper than emotion, stronger than failure, and more enduring than every season of doubt. Perhaps you have allowed dust to cover the promise, pain to blur the calling, and years of waiting to make the faith within you shrink like a coal beneath ashes. But that ember has not gone out, if only you return to me with humble faith. Even as small as a mustard seed, I can still breathe life into it. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, "Move from here to there," and it will move. As Matthew 17:20 says, "I do not despise your small faith. I lift it up, warm it, nourish it with grace, until what once seemed to have faded begins to burn brightly within you again." Remember King Josiah, when the book of my law was found in the temple, after long years of being forgotten. The word of the covenant had not disappeared. It had only been buried beneath layers of neglect among a people who had grown accustomed to living far from my voice. When those words were read aloud, the king's heart was broken. He tore his garments, and the whole nation was called to return. From a scroll that seemed to have been buried and forgotten, I caused a revival to blaze forth. Beloved child, that story is a mirror for your soul today. There are words I placed within you long ago, holy dreams I sowed in you from the days when your heart was still very pure, promises you once cherished, but then put away in a dark place, because the pain became too great. But I have not forgotten. I can help you find again what has been covered with dust, not so that you may live in regret, but so that you may rise in a renewed covenant. I will put my law within them and write it on their hearts, and I will be their God. As Jeremiah 31:33 says, I do not only write my word on stone or paper, I write it again upon your very heart. When I restore, I do not work superficially on the surface. I do not merely stitch the tear temporarily, so that you may appear well in the eyes of others. I go all the way to the source, to the place where the wound began, where old words are still lodged, where shame still lies hidden, where you once promised yourself that you would no longer hope, so that you would no longer hurt. I am the one who heals with truth and with love. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. As Psalm 147:3 says, but understand this, I do not only bind up your wounds, I also weave a new garment for you. I do not merely return to you exactly what you thought you had lost. Often, I give you a life wider, deeper, and brighter, so that you no longer only say that you survived, but can testify that you have been reborn in grace. What was once stolen from you is not stronger than my power to redeem. What once died within you is not beyond the breath of my resurrection. Therefore, be watchful without being afraid. Return without condemning yourself, and open your heart without hiding any longer. I am not calling you out of distraction in order to take away your joy. I am calling you out in order to give true joy back to you. I do not ask you to choose me instead of the world in order to make your life narrow. I call you to choose me because in me you find yourself again. I am the way, the truth, and the life, as John 14:6 says. Outside of me, you may find many voices calling, but you will not find true rest for your soul. Let the rain of the Holy Spirit fall upon the dry ground within you. I will pour water on the thirsty land and streams on the dry ground, as Isaiah 44:3 says. The cracked places will soften. The seeds buried deep will begin to stir. The things you thought existed only in memory will begin to breathe again. Now draw near to me with simple faith. You do not need complicated rituals, perfect words, or proof that you are good enough. You only need to say honestly to me, Father, I am returning. And when you return, you will see that I have been there all along, not holding a rod to judge you, but opening my arms to receive you. I will cleanse the layers of dust that have covered the covenant, awaken the promises that have fallen asleep, and restore the holy heartbeat within your soul. Do fear the stillness, for in it I am speaking. Do not fear the light, for the light does not come to shame you, but to set you free. Do not fear beginning again, for in my hands beginning again is not a sign of failure, but evidence that mercy is still continuing to write the story of your life. You belong to me. My covenant still stands firm, and what I renew within you will become living water flowing out, so that many dry and weary souls may find the way home. Beloved child, quiet your heart in my presence, and do not be quick to condemn yourself because of the coldness, resistance, or misunderstanding you have encountered. There were times when you asked yourself, was I wrong? Was I not good enough? Did I do something that made them turn away? But I want to place my gentle hand upon your weary mind and tell you this: not every rejection is proof that you have done wrong. There are forms of opposition that do not arise from your failure, but from the light I have placed within you. When a life begins to reflect my truth, kindness, purity, and peace that light can touch dark places in others that they are not yet ready to face. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not received it. As John 1:5 says, "Therefore do not be surprised if your presence sometimes causes hidden things to stir." Light does not condemn with noise, but simply by being present it reveals the hidden places that darkness wants to keep concealed. I know that wounds caused by misunderstanding often cut very deeply, because you are not only hurt by the words or actions of others, but also by the pain of having once hoped to be seen with a sincere heart. But, my child, do not let rejection make you doubt the value I have placed within you. You are not defined by the reactions of those who have not yet learned how to receive the light. Some resist you not because you lack love, but because true love reminds them of the hardened places within themselves. Some are uncomfortable with your peace, not because that peace is wrong, but because it confronts the chaos they are trying to hide. Some envy what I am doing in you, not because you have taken their portion, but because they have not yet believed that I can heal them, too. Therefore, guard your heart from bitterness. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse, as Romans 12:14 says. I am not telling you to endure, so that you may be crushed, but I am teaching you to stand in the freedom of one who does not allow the darkness of others to become the prison of your own heart. True peace is not when everyone understands you, nor is it when every wind stops blowing. True peace is when you know that I am in the boat, even while the sea is still troubled. The disciples once trembled in the storm, thinking the waves could swallow them. But my son stood up and said to the sea, "Peace," as Mark 40:39 says, and the wind and waves had to bow before his word. Beloved child, there are storms outside you that I will calm immediately, but there are also storms I allow you to pass through, so that you may learn something deeper. I am not only the one who has authority over circumstances, I am also the refuge of your soul within them. When everything around you is unclear, do not only look at the wind. Look at me. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. When your heart hears the noise of fear, return to the promise that you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are stayed on. As Isaiah 26:3 says, that peace is not as fragile as emotion. It is anchored in my faithful nature. There are trials I allow, not so that darkness may swallow you, but so that the light within you may become clearer. You may feel as though you have been buried beneath the cold soil of adversity. But a seed is not buried in order to die. It is hidden so that life may begin to break through its shell. The quiet seasons, the times of being misunderstood, the days when you felt as though no one stood with you, all of these can become holy ground, where the roots of faith grow deep. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. As John 12:24 says, "Do you see? There are things within you that need to be released. The need to be approved by everyone. The fear of being abandoned. The habit of protecting yourself by closing your heart. The wariness of having to explain yourself to people who do not want to understand. When those layers fall away, true life within you will rise more powerfully. Not loudly, but enduringly, not showily, but full of power." Remember Stephen, a man full of faith in the Holy Spirit. When he stood before the council, those who opposed him could not withstand the wisdom and the spirit by which he spoke. They gnashed their teeth. They were furious. They stoned him. But Scripture says that his face was like the face of an angel, and in his most painful hour, he saw heaven opened. Beloved child, Stephen was not opposed because he lacked light. He was opposed because the light within him was so clear. But the wonder is that the darkness around him could not take away the peace within him. Before he departed from this life, he still prayed for forgiveness for those who harmed him. That is the light I want to teach you to carry. A light that does not take revenge, does not become bitter, and does not lose its holy nature, simply because it has been struck by darkness. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. As Matthew 5:10 says, "When you stand firm in what is right and still keep your heart tender, heaven sees, and I am very near to you. Therefore, do not be afraid when I am refining you." The silversmith does not leave the furnace while the metal is enduring the heat. He watches carefully until the surface of the silver can reflect his face. In the same way, I do not take my eyes off you. I know when you are hurting, when you are weary, when you need to be sheltered, when you need to be lifted out of the heat and allowed to rest in grace. He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, as Malachi 3:3 says, "I do not refine you with coldness, but with purposeful love. I do not allow fire to touch you in order to destroy what is precious, but to remove the impurities that have dimmed my light. What does not belong to you will fall away. What I have placed within you will remain. And when that work is complete, you will not only be stronger, you will be purer, deeper, and richer in mercy. Now let your soul rest. My child, you are not being buried. You are being sown for a season of resurrection. You are not abandoned in the night. You are learning to see my light even before the dawn is fully revealed. You are not being crushed by suffering. You are being sheltered in the hand of the one who can turn tears into springs. When you ask why you must pass through these things, remember that not every answer comes before you continue walking. There are things you will understand when the fruit ripens, when the sprout rises, when the fire goes out, when the storm becomes still. But today, I want you to know one thing that is enough. I am with you. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. As Isaiah 40:1-10 says, keep walking with a heart that no longer accuses itself. Let the light within you continue to shine, not to prove that you are right, but to testify that I am alive within you. And when others do not yet understand, remain in me. For what I have sown, you will come into its season of rising. And no darkness can stop a soul I have called from stepping into the dawn of new life. Beloved child, there are times when you think faith must be proven through great actions, through a strong voice, through the ability to fight back, explain, defend yourself, and keep everything in your hands. But I want to teach you a deeper dimension of faith, Sometimes the greatest victory is not that you do one more thing, but that you dare to rest in me while everything around you is shaking. Peace is not weakness, nor is it surrendering in defeat. Peace is the quiet declaration that you trust me more than you trust the storm. When my son was in the boat amid the wind and waves and still rested, it was not because he did not see the storm rising, but because he knew that authority did not belong to the raging sea, but to the Father in heaven. Where is your faith? As Luke 80:25 says, is not a harsh rebuke, but an awakening. Look and see that the one who is with you is stronger than what is against you. Therefore, when you choose to slow your breathing, place your heart in my hands and refuse to let panic rule you. You are testifying before heaven and earth that your soul has an anchor that cannot be swept away. Understand, my child, that in the hidden battles of the soul, peace is not only something you receive after the victory. Often, peace itself is the weapon I place in your hand before the victory appears. The enemy may use accusations, misunderstandings, fear, old memories, and whispers of doubt to shake you. But he does not know what to do with a soul that has learned to remain still in my presence. When you stand in peace, you are no longer pulled into unnecessary arguments, no longer led by anger, no longer allowing a bitter word to define your worth. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds, as Philippians 4:77 says. Do you see? My peace does not only soothe your emotions, it guards the gates of your heart like a holy army, refusing to let chaos enter and rule the place I have chosen as my temple. When your mind is guarded, your steps will not be dragged away by fear. When your heart is guarded, your words will not come from a wound, but from wisdom. Therefore, when you hear the storm rising, do not rush out in your own strength, as though everything depends on your small hands. There are battles you win not by running faster, speaking more, or trying to control more, but by retreating into me, breathing in the Holy Spirit, and remembering that I saw everything before you even knew the matter had begun. In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. As John 16:33 says, that word does not deny that you will hear the wind, but it assures you that the wind does not have the final word. The schemes against you do not surprise me. The accusations cannot overcome the righteousness with which I cover you. The doors people try to shut cannot stop the door I have determined to open. Remain under the shadow of my wings, for whoever dwells in the secret place of the Most High will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. As Psalm 91:1 says, that secret place is not escape. It is where your vision is restored, so that you may know the battle is not greater than the one who is keeping you. Remember Jehoshaphat, when a vast army came against Judah. In human eyes, it was a terrifying siege. The strength of the people was too small. The danger was too near. And fear could have swallowed the whole kingdom. But Jehoshaphat did not begin with the pride of a king. He began with humility before me. He said that they did not know what to do, but their eyes were upon me, and I spoke through the prophet. The battle is not yours, but God's. As 2 Chronicles 20:15 says, then something extraordinary happened. The people did not go out in panic, but with praise. The singers went before the army, and as the sound of worship rose, I caused the enemy to fall apart by itself. Beloved child, there are times when I also invite you to fight in a way that goes against your instincts. Not through hasty reaction, but through worship. not through anxiety, but through trust, not through grasping tightly, but through surrender. When you fix your eyes on me, I can bring down the things you do not have the strength to touch. Do not misunderstand rest as standing still in despair. Resting in me is a powerful spiritual act because it requires you to refuse the throne of fear and hand the rule back to me. When you say, "Father, I do not understand, but I trust," your whole soul is crossing the bridge of surrender. When you do not answer bitterness with bitterness, you are breaking the cycle of darkness. When you do not allow doubt to pull you away from the promise, you are rooting yourself more deeply in my faithfulness. You will keep in perfect peace the one whose mind is stayed on you. As Isaiah 26:3 says, you do not need to know every side road, every hidden reason, every exact timing. You only need to know that I am your Father, and my eyes have never left your life. I can use even what others intended to wound you to build maturity within you. Use even opposition to reveal your purity, and use even delay to teach you to stand more firmly in grace. Now, I want you to rest in this truth. The storm may touch your circumstances, but it is not permitted to sweep from my hand the soul that belongs to me. Your roots are planted in my presence, and what is planted deeply in me will not be uprooted by one season of strong winds. That person will be like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither, as Poetry 6 says. Perhaps you do not see fruit today, but the water is still nourishing the roots. Perhaps you do not see the door opening yet, but I am turning the key in the unseen place. Perhaps you have not yet seen the accusation collapse, but my truth was already standing before the lie could even be formed. Let me work in my way, in my timing, by my power. Your part today is to remain in peace. Keep your heart tender. Keep your eyes fixed on me, and continue walking without letting the storm teach you to forget your Father. For when you rest in the middle of the battle, you are not losing. You are standing in a victory I have already prepared. And from that place of stillness, quiet miracles will begin to sprout. Beloved child, let me place calmness in the deepest part of you, so that you may see clearly that what you are facing is not only words, attitude, or human opposition. Behind those outward clashes is a spiritual refining, where I am teaching you to overcome, not through hasty reactions, but through a love anchored firmly in me. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, as Ephesians 6:9-12 reminds you. So, do not be quick to make the person who hurt you the center of the battle. They may be the one who spoke words that wounded you, the one who misunderstood you, the one who sowed doubt around you. But the true battle is whether you will keep my light within your heart or allow their darkness to enter and control you. I am not training you to become sharp in retaliation, but steadfast in love. I am not calling you to win by having the louder voice, but to stand still in truth with a heart unpolluted by bitterness. There are times when you want to explain, to prove yourself, to make others understand that they were wrong about you. I know that feeling, my child. I know how injustice can make your heart burn like fire, how slander can make you want to seize back the right to defend yourself at any cost. But remember that not every battle is won through justification. There are times when silence and peace is stronger than 1,000 arguments, because it proves that you are no longer enslaved to the need for other people's approval. Do not repay anyone evil for evil, as Romans 12:17 says. And do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good, as Romans 12:21 says. I am not telling you to let yourself be trampled on, but I am teaching you not to let pain turn you into the image of the very thing that wounded you. When you choose gentleness instead of rage, wisdom instead of reaction, prayer instead of cursing, you are not becoming weaker. You are stepping into the holy power of a soul governed by me. Those who oppose you sometimes do not realize that they too are being used by me as instruments in the refining process of your life. They think their words can make you collapse, but I can use that very pressure to make your roots grow deeper into grace. They think their coldness can cause your light to go out, but I can use that very season of loneliness to teach you to shine without needing the applause of the crowd. Just as strong winds force a young tree to send its roots deeper, opposition can cause you to stop living on the surface and begin seeking strength in the secret place with me. The testing of your faith produces perseverance, as James 1:3 says. Therefore, do not see every pressure as a sign that you have been abandoned. Some pressures are refining furnaces. Some collisions are chisels in the hand of the craftsman. And some pains are places where I teach you to discern between the reaction of the flesh and the nature of one who belongs to me. Remember David when Saul sought to destroy him. David had been anointed, carried the promise, and had reason to believe that the throne would belong to him. Yet he still had to flee into caves and endure the pursuit of the very man he had once served faithfully. There was a moment when David had the chance to kill Saul and end his suffering by his own hand, but he did not stretch out his hand to do what violated the fear of me. He cut off the corner of Saul's robe, and even then his heart troubled him, because he understood that my calling cannot be protected by a spirit of revenge. Do you see, beloved child, David was not weak because he spared Saul's life. He was strong because he did not let pain turn him into an unrighteous man. It was in those years of being hunted that I shaped him into a king with a heart that knew how to worship, how to weep, how to wait, and how to place judgment in my hands. Commit your way to the Lord and trust in him, and he will bring it to pass, as Psalm 37:5 says. Sometimes your greatest growth is not found in how quickly you escape those who oppose you, but in how purely you keep your heart as you pass through that opposition. Therefore, when someone hurts you, let me teach you to look deeper than the pain before your eyes. Perhaps I'm using it to show you what part of your heart is still bound to the approval of others. Perhaps I'm teaching you healthy boundaries, wisdom in silence, humility while being misunderstood, and the ability to love without making yourself a slave to recognition. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, as Matthew 5:44 says, is not an invitation for you to deny your pain, but a call for you to step into a higher level of freedom. When you bless those who have wounded you, you are not declaring that what they did was right. You are declaring that your soul does not belong under the rule of bitterness. When you choose forgiveness, you are not erasing justice. You are placing justice into my hands, the hands of the one who sees the whole truth, both what you can see and what you cannot yet see. Then you will begin to realize that in my hands, even tangled things can carry purpose. No bitter word has the authority to cancel what I have spoken over you. No rejection has the authority to take away the value I have placed within you. No opponent is stronger than my love that is keeping you. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. As Psalm 23:5 says, this means that I can give peace, dignity, and provision even in the very place where you were once looked down upon. I do not need to remove every opponent before I bless you. Often, I allow them to see you being nourished by my very presence, so that they may understand that your life is not upheld by human opinion, but by my hand. When you are rooted in my unchanging love, you will no longer be uprooted by every wind of words, attitude, or misunderstanding. Beloved child, let your heart become tender without becoming weak, strong without becoming hard, bright without becoming proud. I am teaching you a kind of victory, very different from the world's. Victory through endurance, through kindness, through truth held in love. When you do not retaliate, when you refuse to be dragged down to the level of darkness, when you still keep your words pure and your hands unstained by bitterness, you are reflecting my own heart. My son, when he was insulted, did not insult in return when he suffered. He made no threats, as 1 Peter 20:23 says, but entrusted himself to the one who judges justly. Follow in those footsteps. I am with you in every rightly timed silence, every tear you lift up to me, every time you choose love when love is not easy. And one day you will see that the very things once used to wound you became instruments that made you deeper, brighter, wiser, and more steadfast in my love that can never be shaken. Beloved child, draw near to me in the quiet place of your soul. For there are seasons when I do not speak in the way you expect. But that does not mean I have moved away from you. Many times you search for a clear sign, an immediate answer, a door opening right before your eyes. And when everything remains silent, your heart begins to wonder whether I still hear. But my child, my silence is not a wall separating father and child. Often it is the holy room where your faith is invited to go deeper. Be still and know that I am God, as Psalm 46:10 says, is not a command for you to stop hoping, but an invitation for you to stop panicking. When you no longer listen with hurried ears, you will begin to hear with the deeper place of your soul, where the Holy Spirit whispers gently, where peace becomes a language, and where my presence is recognized not by noise, but by the quiet certainty that you are still being held in my hand. There are things I am doing beneath the deep soil of your life, where your eyes cannot yet see, and your mind cannot yet explain. A seed, when first planted, does not immediately rise into a tree. It lies in darkness, covered over, seeming motionless. Yet within it, life is awakening according to a mysterious rhythm. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you, is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. So it is with you. There are promises I placed within you that are germinating in hidden places. There are prayers you thought had fallen into emptiness that are in fact being held by me in heaven's timing. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. As Hebrews 11:1 says, that faith does not only shine brightly when the miracle appears, it also endures when everything is still hidden. When you keep walking though you do not yet see the way out, when you keep believing though you have not yet heard the explanation, when you keep your heart tender, though the season of waiting stretches long, in that very moment, the roots of your faith are growing deeper into my unchanging love. Do not think that I am silent to punish you. I am not a father who closes the door and leaves you standing outside in fear. I am the Father who knows when to speak, when to remain quiet, when to lift you with a word of comfort, and when to teach you to stand firm through trust. If every answer came too quickly, you might love the answer more than the one who answers. If every door opened as soon as you knocked, you might learn to rely more on outcomes than on me. But I want you to have a faith that is not conditioned by circumstances. I want you to know that I am good, even when your life is not yet easy, that I am faithful, even when the promise has not yet taken shape, that I am still working even when there is no sign to reassure you. For we walk by faith, not by sight, as 2 Corinthians 5:7 says. This is the path of those who learn to trust, not only in what I do, but in who I am. Remember the prophet Habakkuk, who once looked around and saw injustice, confusion, and suffering, then brought his heavy questions before me. He did not pretend that his heart was not troubled. He spoke honestly, waited honestly, and stood upon the watchtower to see what I would say. Then I told him that the vision still awaited its appointed time. If it seemed delayed, he should wait for it, because it would surely come. Beloved child, Habakkuk did not immediately receive every explanation as human beings often desire, but he received something deeper, a vision corrected by faith. By the end of the book, though the fig tree did not blossom, the vines bore no fruit, and the sheepfold was empty, he still said that he would rejoice in the Lord. That is faith born in the silence, not dependent on the harvest before the eyes, but anchored in the faithfulness of the one who never changes. Therefore, when you feel lonely in the waiting, let me separate you from the noises that have exhausted your soul. There are voices that may not seem wrong at first, but if you allow them to drown me out, they will cause you to lose your direction. The voice of anxiety tells you that you must handle everything yourself. The voice of comparison tells you that you are slower than others. The voice of disappointment tells you not to hope anymore, so that you will not be hurt again. But my voice does not push you in that way. My voice leads you back to peace, to truth, to trust. My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. As John 10:27 says, when I seem silent outwardly, I am often cleansing inwardly, so that you may discern which voice comes from love, and which voice comes from fear. I am realigning the compass of your soul, so that it no longer turns with the winds of life, but points toward me. The horizon of life, my child, in a piece of music, silence is not the failure of sound. It gives the melody depth. Without pauses, the song would become chaotic. In the same way, in your life, the seasons when I am silent are not meant to end the story, but to prepare the next movement to rise at the right rhythm, the right pitch, and the right beauty I have appointed. For everything, there is a season, as Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "And my appointed time is not driven by your impatience." Sometimes I am softening your heart before entrusting you with the promise. Sometimes I am removing an old dependency before opening a new door. Sometimes I am teaching you to rest because what is coming requires a soul that knows how to remain in peace more than a heart constantly stretched by the need to control. Now, let your heart be still beneath the shadow of my wings. Do not fear the days when you do not hear thunder, for I can still come in a gentle whisper. Do not fear when the promise still lies beneath deep soil, for I am the one who awakens the seed in its proper season. Do not fear when you do not yet understand everything, for your understanding does not need to go ahead of your trust. You only need to remain with me day by day, step by step, breath by breath. Pray when you still have words, and rest in me when you have no words left. Continue doing good in secret. Continue keeping your heart pure. Continue believing that my hand is still weaving good things behind the veil you cannot yet see. Then, at the appointed time, my word will resound in your life, not like a sudden noise, but like a dawn long prepared. Then you will understand that I was never absent in the silence. I was there, deeper than every sound, nearer than every answer, and more faithful than everything you once feared you would lose. Beloved child, let your heart become tender before me. For only a heart that still knows how to be tender can carry the oil of heaven's mercy. When others hurt you, your first instinct may be to defend yourself, to want them to understand that they were wrong, to long for justice to come quickly, so your heart can feel lighter. I understand that, my child. I do not deny your wound, nor do I tell you to call wrong right, but I want to lead you onto a path higher than retaliation, where your soul is not dragged down to the level of evil. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult, but on the contrary, bless, as 1 Peter 3:9 says. This is not a call for you to become weak, but an invitation for you to step into the power of kindness. A truly free person is not the one who can wound back the one who hurt them, but the one who no longer allows bitterness to govern their heart. Remember, you too were found by grace in the days when you were not yet steady. There were times when you were also lost in your own thoughts, when you spoke wrongly, walked wrongly, reacted from your wounds, and needed a love greater than your weakness to draw you back. I did not come to you with a hand of condemnation, but with mercy. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. As Romans 5:8 says, this is the foundation for understanding why I teach you to forgive. You do not forgive because they deserve it after what they have done, but because you have been set free by the forgiveness I first gave you. You do not pray for them because they treated you rightly, but because I want your heart not to become a prison where pain is kept. When you remember that you have received much mercy, you will learn to see others not only through their failures, but also through the possibility that they too can be touched and made new by me. Do not allow revenge to build a throne in your thoughts, for it will promise you relief while quietly chaining you to the very person who wounded you. Revenge does not heal the wound. It only carries that wound farther into darkness. I have not called you to be the final judge of another soul. I am the one who sees the whole story, who sees both what you know and what you do not know, who sees the layers of pain, blindness, pride, and fear that cause them to act as they do. Vengeance is mine, I will repay, as Romans 12:19 says, not so that you would desire their destruction, but so that you would return judgment to the righteous one, while you yourself are free to continue living in peace. When you release the need to balance everything by your own hand, I can step in not only to deal with injustice, but also to keep your soul from being poisoned by what you have suffered. So, pray for them, beloved child, not with a false prayer, nor with an outwardly religious tone, but with a deep and honest breath from a heart being held by me. Ask me to open their eyes, because many people who do dark things do not realize that they are walking toward desolation. Ask me to break the invisible chains binding them to hatred, pride, fear, and old wounds. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. As Matthew 5:44 says, that word is not easy, but it is precisely in what is not easy that my love is revealed most clearly. When you intercede for the one who has hurt you, you are not standing on the side of wrongdoing. You are standing on the side of redemption. You are telling darkness that it has no right to turn you into someone bitter. You are telling heaven that you believe my love can still reach even souls who have wandered far away. Remember Ananias in Damascus, the one I sent to meet Saul, who had persecuted those who belonged to me. In the eyes of many, Saul was a threat, someone to avoid, someone who could not be trusted. Even Ananias spoke to me about the evil that man had done. But I told him to go, because I saw in Saul not only the past of a persecutor, but also the future of an apostle who would carry my name to many nations. When Ananias entered, he called the one who had once spread fear brother Saul, laid his hands on him, and Saul's blinded eyes were open. Do you see? One act of obedience filled with mercy can become a bridge for a transformation that people cannot imagine. I am not telling you to place yourself in danger without wisdom, but I am teaching you not to lock others forever inside the worst version of themselves. If I transformed Saul into Paul, then do not limit my power simply because you are looking at them through today's wound. In this season, I am not only dealing with those who oppose you, I am also enlarging your own heart. I am teaching you to love not only when love is returned, to forgive not only when the other person apologizes, and to keep kindness in your heart, not only when circumstances are easy. Immature love only blooms under warm sunlight, but love refined by me can still release its fragrance in the cold wind. Forgive one another as the Lord has forgiven you. As Colossians 3:13 says, this does not mean you deny boundaries, nor does it mean you allow others to continue harming you. Forgiveness is releasing them from the prison within your heart and placing them into my hands. Boundaries are wisdom. Prayer is mercy. Peace is the portion you receive back when you no longer hold tightly to another person's debt within your soul. Beloved child, when you pray for the one who has hurt you, the first thing healed is often not the outward circumstance, but you. I begin to change the way you see, the way you breathe, the way you remember the story without being crushed by it. I take from you the need to curse and place within you the ability to bless. I take from you the shrinking caused by wounds and place within you the dignity of one who knows they belong to me. Even on the cross, my son said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. As Luke 23:34 says, that was not weakness. It was the glory of love overcoming darkness in the very place where darkness thought it had won. When you learn to pray in this way, you are stepping into that same current of mercy. Therefore, let me make your heart wider than your pain. Let me turn the things that once made you want to close yourself off into places where love becomes more mature. Pray for them, but also entrust them to me. Forgive, but also walk in wisdom. Love, but do not let yourself be pulled back into destructive cycles. I am the one who takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but rather that the wicked turn from their ways and live, as Ezekiel 33:7-11 says, and I am also the one who keeps you in justice and peace. When you choose kindness instead of bitterness, intercession instead of cursing, surrender instead of revenge, you do not lose your strength. You are becoming more like me, and in that likeness, you will find a quiet yet profound glory. Your heart becomes lighter. Your eyes become clearer. Your soul becomes freer. And my love through you can touch even the places that seem beyond hope. Beloved child, amid the pressing sounds of this life, there are times when your soul is pulled too far away from the stillness where I am still waiting. You hear the voice of worry, the voice of hurry, the voice of human judgment, the voice of old memories echoing in the night. And little by little, you begin to think that my voice has fallen silent. But my child, even when your ears can no longer distinguish my whisper, my hand has not left you. My protection does not depend on your feelings, nor does it weaken when you are weary. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. As Psalm 34:7 says, therefore, do not think that the loneliness you feel is the whole truth. There are realities your eyes cannot see, but heaven knows clearly. There are invisible arms I have sent to guard your steps. There are battles you never knew about that I stopped before they could touch your life. And there were times when you thought you were only crying quietly by yourself, but every one of those tears was before me, not falling to the ground as something meaningless, but being held in the mercy of the Father. I have built around you fences of grace, not so that you would live in fear, but so that you would know your life has not been abandoned to darkness. There are times when I go before you to open the way, times when I go behind you to cover what you cannot protect by yourself, and times when I stand beside you in the form of sudden peace, a timely word of encouragement, a way of escape, or a strange delay that you later understand was my protection. The Lord will watch over your coming and going both now and forevermore. As Psalm 121:8 says, that word does not only speak of your outward steps, but also of every deep movement within your soul. When you are weak, I uphold you. When you are confused, I give light. When you stumble, I do not stand far away to condemn you, but reach out my hand to draw you back. You do not see the whole army I have sent, but what you cannot see is not therefore unreal. Heaven is not silent before the cry of one who belongs to me. Remember the servant of Elisha when the enemy army surrounded the city of Dothan. That morning his eyes saw only horses, chariots, and enemy, soldiers surrounding them on every side, so his heart was filled with fear. But Elisha did not look with the eyes of fear. He prayed that his servant's eyes would be opened. And when I opened his eyes, he saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire surrounding Elisha. Beloved child, this is what I want you to understand today. What surrounds you is not only pressure schemes, opposing words, or unsettling circumstances around you. There is also my protection, greater than what threatens you. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. As 2 Kings 6:16 says, let that word enter the places where you are afraid. When you see only the siege of difficulty, I see the surrounding host of heaven. When you think you are isolated, I see that you are covered. When you believe you are struggling alone, I see all my power guarding what I have placed within you. But my child, while I protect you from many outward things, I also want to teach you to guard the inner place, because an unwatched soul can easily become a doorway for anxiety, bitterness, and weariness to enter. The enemy does not only come through great events. Many times he comes through a small thought you have nourished for too long, a fear you have believed as truth, a resentment you have kept because you thought it would protect you, or an exhaustion that makes you no longer want to pray. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. As Proverbs 4:23 says, I do not say this so that you would anxiously guard yourself by your own strength, but so that you would know to bring your heart beneath my light each day. When anxiety says that everything will collapse, remind your soul that I am still reigning. When anger wants to blaze up, let my Holy Spirit breathe into it the wind of kindness. When weariness makes you want to give up, hide yourself in me like a child, resting his head against his father's chest. Do not fight by the flesh, beloved child, for the flesh will make you react quickly, but often leave your heart heavier. Do not answer anger with anger. Do not let fear decide your path, and do not let your wounds become the voice that leads you. The weapons I give you are not like the weapons of the world. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the flesh. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. As 2 Corinthians 10:4 says, your prayer can shake places your eyes cannot see. Your forgiveness can break the chains that resentment has wrapped around your heart. Your peace can become a wall of fire against the arrows of panic. And your trust, even if it feels small on a weekday, is still a declaration that you belong to me, not to darkness. Therefore, when you do not hear me clearly, do not be quick to think that I have stopped speaking. Return to the quiet place and let your soul be realigned. When you feel alone, remember that you are living within a reality greater than what your eyes can see. When you walk trembling, know that my grace surrounds every step. When you feel the voices within you beginning to become chaotic, stop and call upon my name. For my name is a strong refuge. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. As Psalm 46 once says, I do not only help you after you have become exhausted. I want to be your strength, even while you are still walking. Let me protect your mind with truth, protect your heart with love, protect your steps with wisdom, and protect your soul with a presence that never withdraws. Now rest in me, my child, not because there is no longer any danger around you, but because the one who is with you is greater than everything against you. Not because you understand every battle, but because I have already seen the end before you even began. Not because you are strong enough to overcome by yourself, but because I am faithful enough to keep you until the end. Pray when your heart is troubled. Worship when darkness comes near. Choose love when resentment knocks. Choose trust when anxiety speaks. My angels are sent forth, but I myself am your refuge. Invisible protection surrounds you, but the true life within you is my presence. And as you learn to fight with faith instead of fear, you will see many things quietly changing, your heart becoming lighter, your eyes becoming clearer, your steps becoming steadier, and heaven itself seeming nearer, because you have never walked alone. Beloved child, let your soul rest in my arms, for my protection over you is not only a shield raised before your eyes, but an eternal intention covering the whole journey you walk. I do not only guard you from the things you recognize as dangerous, I also keep you from things you never knew were quietly drawing near. There were turns you once regretted, closed doors that grieved you, delays that confused you. But in my hand, even the smallest thing can be woven into a good plan. All things work together for good for those who love God. As Romans 8:28 says, that does not mean everything that happens is pleasant, but it does mean that nothing in your life is beyond my redeeming power. You see scattered fragments, but I see the whole tapestry being woven with grace. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, by doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. You see a road hidden in mist, but I see the radiant destination ahead. Therefore, do not let what you cannot see drive you into panic, because the peace I give is not based on your sight, but on my unchanging faithfulness. There are seasons when I protect you by opening a way, but there are also seasons when I protect you by allowing you to stand still in a place that seems to have no way out. You often think protection must always look like an immediate miracle, a clear deliverance, a hand pulling you out of the fire at once. But my child, sometimes I protect you by being with you in the fire, so that the flames do not destroy your soul, but only cause the chains that have bound you for so long to fall away. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. As Isaiah 43:9-2 says, I did not promise that you would never have to pass through deep places, but I promised that the deep places cannot swallow you when I am with you. My presence is not a distant idea. It is the quiet stream of strength that helps you keep breathing, standing, believing, and walking, even when everything around you seems ready to collapse. Remember Paul on the ship in the midst of the great storm, when for many days neither sun nor stars appeared, and everyone had almost lost all hope of being saved. In human eyes, it was only a disaster moving toward its end. The violent wind rose, the ship was battered, the cargo was thrown into the sea, and hearts fell into despair. But in that night, my angel stood beside Paul and said, Do not be afraid, because the lives of those sailing with him had been granted to him. Do you see? Beloved child, the sea was still roaring. The ship was still breaking apart, but my promise still stood firm. Sometimes I do not keep you from every outward shaking, but I keep your soul from sinking into despair. Sometimes the old vessel must break apart, but my purpose for you still reaches the shore. Paul's ship was broken, but lives were preserved. The journey did not end in the storm, but continued into a new place, where my grace would be revealed. In the same way, there are things in your life that seem like loss, but in truth, they may only be the old shell no longer able to carry you into the new season. When the fire has quieted down, when the long night begins to withdraw, I want you to look carefully at what remains within you. It is not only ashes, it is not only painful memory. It is not only the trace of the days when you had to brace yourself simply to survive. There is a light awakening from within your soul, a light not kindled by your own confidence, not sustained by the praise of people, and not extinguished by the winds that have passed over you. That light comes from my breath. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. As John 1:5 says, you have walked through places that once frightened you, cried tears you thought no one knew about, and lived nights when only a very small prayer remained. But I heard. I did not stand far away watching you struggle. I was near in every trembling step. I counted your tears, as Psalm 56:8 says that I keep record of those tears. Not one of them is meaningless. Not one sigh has been forgotten. Not one fall has caused me to withdraw my love. And now, beloved child, I do not call you someone who has merely escaped a battle. I call you restored, one who is learning to walk in new life, one who has come to understand that true peace is not the absence of storms, but the presence of me reigning within your heart. Before, you may have looked for peace in favorable circumstances, in the affirmation of others, or in the feeling that everything was under your control. But after all you have passed through, I am giving you a deeper peace. Peace like an underground stream flowing beneath the earth, quiet yet enduring, not dependent on the weather above, because its source is me. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. As John 14:27 says, this peace is not like what the world gives, because the world can only make you feel calm when everything is easy. But I can keep your heart still even in the middle of what has not yet been resolved. Therefore, when you look back at the things that once made you think you had lost everything, look with eyes that I have healed. Some losses actually separated you from what could no longer nourish your soul. Some endings actually opened the way for a purer beginning. Some dark nights actually taught you to hear my voice more clearly than in the daytime. Some wounds actually made your heart softer, so that you could know how to love those who are hurting as you once hurt. I am the one who makes all things new, as Revelation 21:5 says, so do not call the old chapter your final sentence. In my hands, sorrow can become a school of wisdom, tears can become seeds of kindness, and the place that was once broken can become an altar where you worship with a faith deeper than before. Keep walking, my child, but do not walk as one being chased by the past. Walk as one being led by grace. Let my invisible protection become your place of rest, not only something you believe with your mind when you cannot see the way. Hold on to me. When you do not understand the reason, remember my nature. When you do not yet feel strength, remain in my presence until your soul is refreshed. I kept you in the night, and I will also lead you in the dawn. I was there when you fell, when you cried, when you called my name in the storm. And I am still here as you learn to rise in the season of restoration. Believe that what seemed like an ending cannot stop what I have determined to begin. Your peace is growing. Your light is rising, and your life, once covered by sorrow, will now become a witness that in my hands no ashes are hopeless. No night is eternal, and no soul that belongs to me is ever forgotten in the darkness. Beloved child, look back on the journey you have walked with eyes that I have healed. because the winds that once made you tremble did not come to erase your name from my plan. There were seasons when I did not stop the storm before it touched your life, but I stood with you in the midst of it, using every wave, every long night, every fear to build within you a dwelling place strong enough for my peace. You thought you were only trying to survive, but I was quietly rebuilding the foundation within you. I took the broken pieces you once wanted to forget, washed them with grace, and placed them back in their proper place within a new work. You are God's temple, and the Spirit of God dwells in you. As 1 Corinthians 3:16 says, that word does not speak only of holiness, but also of your profound worth. I do not see you as an abandoned ruin. I see within you a temple being restored, where fear no longer rules, where shame no longer occupies the throne, where love, gratitude, and trust are being raised up like radiant pillars before me. There are stones in that temple that were laid with your tears. There is a stone formed from the night when you thought you could not keep going, yet still called my name. There is a stone shaped by the time you were wounded, yet still chose not to let bitterness take root. There is a stone taken from the very place where you once failed, so that I could turn it into the foundation of humility for a deeper life. The world may only see the cracks, but I see openings for light. The world may call you someone who was once weak, but I call you someone refined in grace. Though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. As Proverbs 24:16 says, you rise not because you have never been hurt, but because my hand has lifted you through every fall. I have replaced the layers of brick built from anxiety with foundations of surrender. I have removed from you the rotten beams of self-condemnation and placed within you the truth that you belong to me. I did not let the storm define you. I used the storm to reveal what I had planted in you from the beginning. Now look around with a soul whose eyes have been opened. The sky no longer carries the same gray color as before, not because the world has run out of difficulties, but because the light within you has changed the way you see. The stream I have placed in your heart is no longer dry as it was in the days when you lived by your own strength. For whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within them. As John 7:38 says, you do not only receive water so that your thirst may be quenched, you become a place from which that water flows to others. This is my deep miracle. I do not only heal you so that your heart may feel lighter. I heal you so that you become a sign of hope for other weary souls. The one who has known darkness will recognize the light with deeper gratitude. The one who has been comforted in the night will know how to place a gentle hand on the shoulder of someone who is crying. The one whom I have led through the valley will not speak to others with cold theory, but with a mercy born from experience. Remember Peter, who once boldly declared that he would follow my Son to the end, yet in the hour of fear denied him 3 times. The crowing of the rooster broke his heart open, and he went out and wept bitterly. If the story had ended there, people would have called him a failure, but I did not allow that fall to become his final identity. After the resurrection, by the shore of the sea, my Son did not crush Peter with condemnation, but asked him with love, "Do you love me?" as John 20:15 says, and then the one who had denied his teacher was entrusted with feeding my sheep. Do you see? Beloved child, I can take the very place where you once felt most ashamed and restore your deepest calling there. Peter did not become a shepherd because he had never stumbled, but because after receiving mercy, he knew what it meant to lift up the weak with mercy. In the same way, I can use your story not to expose you in shame, but to prove that my grace is stronger than collapse. When you open your mouth to speak about what I have brought you through, do not speak as one boasting of your own victory, but as one testifying to the faithfulness of the Father. Someone will hear in your words a call to return. Someone will see in your eyes the peace they have been searching for. Someone will be touched, not because you speak too much, but because they can sense that you are no longer a prisoner of what happened to you. The God of all comfort comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble. As 2 Corinthians 1:3-4 says, I comforted you, so that this comfort would not stop with you. I placed oil upon your wound, so that one day your hands would also know how to bring that oil to others. I allowed you to taste peace in the night, so that you could stand beside someone still in the night without fearing that their darkness would swallow you. Therefore, my child, do not see your adversity as a meaningless chapter. I have turned it into an altar. Do not see your tears as a sign of weakness. I have turned them into a spring of compassion. Do not see the days when you trembled as proof that you lacked faith. It was in those very days that your faith learned to cling to me in the most honest way. Those who sow in tears shall reap with joy. As Psalm 20:65 says, that harvest is not only something I give to you, but also something I work through you. When you pray for someone who is hurting, that prayer will carry the warmth of one who has been held by me. When you walk among souls who are lost, my presence within you will become a gentle lamp. When you sit quietly and listen as someone tells you their pain, your patience itself will become a doorway through which I can enter. Now stand in the new dignity I have rebuilt within you. You are no longer only someone who has passed through the storm. You are a temple of peace built in the very place that was once ruined. You are no longer only someone rescued from the night. You are one who carries light for those still searching for the way. I have done within you what human strength could never do. From brokenness, I have raised a testimony. From loss, I have called forth life. From the nights you thought would never end, I prepared a dawn that can warm others. Keep walking in humility, for all glory belongs to me. Keep walking in gratitude, for you have seen my faithfulness. Keep walking in love, for that love is the clearest mark that I dwell within you. And when others look at your life, they will not only see a story of overcoming pain, they will see my power to rebuild a soul, ignite a heart, and turn a once broken life into a dwelling place where my peace abides forever. Beloved child, lift up your eyes and let my light touch your face, for you no longer stand in the old place with the old heart. The seasons that made you tremble, the nights that made you think you could no longer continue, the fears that once wrapped around your soul like binding cords, all of them no longer have the power to keep you forever in darkness. I have walked with you through every stretch of the road, not so that you would merely survive, but so that you would be renewed from within. Do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing a new thing. As Isaiah 43:18-19 says, today that word is resounding over your life like the bell of dawn. You no longer need to return and dig through old ruins to find your identity, because your identity is not found in what wounded you, but in the love I have placed upon you. I have called you mine, and when I have called you, no condemnation, no memory, no failure can erase your name from the palm of my hand. From now on, you do not need to live like someone who must constantly prove that they are worthy to be loved, trusted, and accepted. I saw you even in your weakest days, and I still chose to hold you in grace. The world may demand that you become perfect before you step forward, but I teach you to walk from belonging, not from fear. Perfect love casts out fear, as 1 John 40:18 says, and that love is not something you create by your own effort. It is the life I pour into you when you are willing to remain in me. You no longer have to run everywhere, searching for peace like a thirsty soul in the wilderness. Because I myself have made peace a stream within your heart, you have learned that true peace does not depend on whether everyone understands you, whether circumstances are favorable, or whether the sky is clear. True peace is knowing that I am with you, and where I am present, your soul can rest, even while there is still much noise outside. Remember Joshua when Moses had died, and the whole people stood before a new season. Before them was the promised land, but also the Jordan River, fortified cities, unknown things, and a responsibility that human strength could not carry alone. Joshua may have felt that the shadow of the past was too great, and the road ahead too heavy, but I spoke to him, "Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." As Joshua 1:39 says, "Beloved child, that is also the word I place upon you today." I do not tell you to step into the new season, because you no longer remember the old one. I tell you to step into it because my presence is greater than everything you have been through. Joshua was not sent forward with empty self-confidence, but with the promise that I was with him. In the same way, you do not move ahead by your own strength, but by the certainty that the one who brought you through deep waters will not abandon you on the other shore. Perhaps one day old echoes will return and knock at the door of your heart. Perhaps fear will whisper that you are still the same as before. Doubt will remind you of the times you fell, and the world will become so loud that you feel you are about to lose the rhythm of peace. But this time, you do not need to panic. Smile in humility, not because you are stronger than every storm, but because you have come to know your refuge. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. As Psalm 46:1 says, "You have learned the secret that many have not yet recognized." You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. You can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. The safest place is not the place without trials, but the place where I am. When the noise rises, return to the breath of the Holy Spirit. When darkness tries to pull you back into old reactions, remember that you have been refined. When fear wants to take the throne in your heart again, place your hand upon your chest and remind your soul that I am reigning there. The darkness once made you think that the story of your life would end in tears, but I used that very veil of night to write a holy testimony. Without the night, you would not have known how precious the light truly is. Without the seasons of testing, you would not have known how deeply the roots of your faith could grow into my love. Without the times when you were shaken, you would not have realized what within you truly could not be taken away. The testing of your faith produces perseverance, as James 103 says, and through that process, I have built within you a steadfastness that is no longer shallow. Now, the peace you carry is not merely the emotion of someone who has just been pulled out of danger, but the rest of a soul that has become a dwelling place for me. You do not merely speak about peace, you carry peace. You do not merely say that I heal, your very life bears the marks of that healing. You do not merely believe that light is real, you have been lit by that light from within. Therefore, go, my child, with a heart made new and feet no longer chained by the past. Step into the world not with pride, but with the gentle power of one who knows they are loved. Speak when I place words upon your lips. Be silent when silence is wisdom, and love when love is the hardest yet holiest path. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. As Matthew 5:9 says, you are sent not to add more noise to a world already too loud, but to bring my presence into places that are dry, cold, and afraid. Some will encounter me through your calmness. Some will remember hope when they see that you are no longer ruled by darkness. Some will find the way home simply because you have lived like a small yet faithful lamp in the long night. Now, I speak to you with the gentleness and authority of love. Do not be afraid. You have been kept. You have been refined. You have been healed through many deep layers you once did not dare to touch. And now, you are being sent not as one carrying the burden of having to prove something, but as one carrying living water for thirsty souls. Let the peace of Christ rule in your heart, as Colossians 3:15 says. And when that peace rules, you are no longer pulled along by the chaos of the world. Let your life become a gentle answer to an age that is forgetting me. That true peace is not an illusion, not a passing emotion, not a brief pause between two storms. True peace is me with you, in you, leading you, keeping you, and shining through you. Walk in that light, beloved child, for the new season has opened. And I am going before you, beloved child. Open your heart wide like soft soil, receiving the first rain of the season. For I am moving around you in ways that are very gentle, very hidden, yet never accidental. There are signs I place along your path that do not come like thunder shaking the sky, but like a breeze passing through your spirit, like a sudden holy thought, like an encounter that seems coincidental, yet leaves within you a deep confirmation. Do not be quick to despise small things, because in my kingdom, even a mustard seed can carry within it the shadow of a great tree, and even a whisper can open an entire season of guidance. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says. As Revelation 2007 says, this is not only a call to hear with physical ears, but an invitation for your soul to become watchful, gentle, and poor, so that you may recognize the rhythm of heaven amid the crowded sounds of life. There will be people around you who will not understand what I am doing. They will look at a door slightly opened and call it luck. Look at a timely word and call it coincidence. Look at a delay that saved you from the wrong path and call it random chance. But my child, Those who live close to me will learn to see deeper than the surface. You do not need to argue in order to force everyone to believe what your soul is discerning. There are things that are confirmed only in the secret place between father and child. The Spirit of God bears witness with our spirit. As Romans 8:16 says, when my Holy Spirit moves within you, you will have a knowing that goes beyond dry reasoning, not superstition, not imagination, but holy sensitivity born from communion with me. Little by little, you will learn to distinguish what is the voice of fear, what is the voice of desire, what is the voice of pressure, and what is my voice, gentle, pure, full of peace, yet strong enough to lead you onto the right path. Remember Samuel, when he was still a boy in the temple. That night, everything around him was quiet, and my voice calling his name did not come in the middle of a crowd, nor during a solemn ceremony, but in a very private, very gentle moment. So gentle that at first he did not recognize it as my voice. He ran to Eli, thinking a human being was calling him, until he was taught to say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." As 1 Samuel 3:10 says, "Beloved child, I am teaching you that same prayer. Do not only ask me to do great things, ask me to make you able to hear. Do not only seek outward signs, let me realign your inward attention." When you learn to say to me with a humble spirit that you are listening, the things that once felt unclear will begin to find order. Small signals will become clearer, and you will understand that I still speak to you through my word, through peace in your heart, through timely wisdom, and through doors opened or closed by love. Therefore, do not step into a new day like someone thrown into the current of life without direction. I have gone before you. Before you face a conversation, I already know which words need to be spoken. Before you enter a turning point, I have already seen the whole road beyond it. Before you sigh, because you do not have enough strength, I have already prepared grace sufficient for that day. The Lord will go before you. He himself will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. As Deuteronomy 31:8 says, you are not walking under an empty sky. You are walking under the covering of an eternal purpose. There are resources I prepared before you, even knew you would need them. There are people I will place on your journey at the right time. There are protections you cannot see, yet they have kept you from dangerous detours. You only need to walk with watchfulness, not hastily, not arrogantly, not fearfully, but with trust that your Father is leading. I want you to learn to look at encounters through the eyes of faith. Not everyone who passes through your life is someone I have sent to remain for a long time. But there are people who carry a reminder, a key, a confirmation, or a lesson you need in that season. Remember Abraham's servant when he went to find a wife for Isaac. He did not rely on his own cleverness, but asked me to guide him through a sign of kindness. And then Rebekah appeared by the well, not only giving him water to drink, but also drawing water for all his camels. That was not a meaningless encounter. It was my arrangement at an ordinary well, in an ordinary moment, to open a great chapter in the covenant. Do you see? I can hide the sacred within the very ordinary. A sentence, a glance, a delay, an invitation, a place you seem to enter by chance. All of these can become a small bell reminding you that I am quietly arranging things. But, beloved child, spiritual sensitivity must walk together with humility and wisdom. Do not chase every passing emotion as though it were my voice. And do not harden your heart so much that you deny the very things I use to guide you. Test the spirits to see whether they are from God. As 1 John 4:1 says, this means you must bring every impression back under the light of my word, under the peace of the Holy Spirit, and under the fruit of love, purity, and truth. My voice does not lead you into pride, confusion, hostility, or fear. My voice makes your heart deeper, brighter, softer, and steadier. If a sign draws you away from love, away from truth, away from holiness, then stop and return to me. I do not lead you by blindness. I lead you by light. Now, walk with a watchful spirit and a peaceful heart. Do not wait for everyone to confirm it before you believe what I am whispering in the secret place. Do not be afraid of being seen as different when you are learning to live sensitively to the movement of heaven. You are not called to chase every noise, but to recognize the Father's voice among the crowd. My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. As John 10:27 says, I know you, every breath, every step, every unspoken concern. I loved you before you were formed, arranged your path before you knew how to ask. And I am going before you with unchanging faithfulness. Open the eyes of faith. Beloved child, heaven is not as far away as you think. Sometimes it is bending near in a very small moment, a very gentle sign, a very quiet reminder to tell you, I am here, I am leading, and you never walk alone. Beloved child, place your hand upon your heart and recognize that I am not calling you to step into the new season with the haste of the flesh, but with the watchfulness of a soul that knows how to listen. There are things I am doing around you that cannot be fully grasped by human understanding, because my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts are deeper than anything you can measure. But that does not mean you must stand still in hesitation. Faith does not require you to see the entire road before you take a step. Faith is when you hear my voice in the secret place. Then dare to place your first footstep upon unfamiliar ground, trusting that my hand has already been there before you, for we walk by faith, not by sight. As 2 Corinthians 5:97 says, that word is not meant to make you afraid of the unknown, but to set you free from dependence on what natural eyes can control. When you walk in obedience, understanding will unfold gradually like the dawn. You do not need to see the whole sun before you believe that a new day is coming. Do not let the voices of doubt around you make smaller what I have placed within your heart. Some people will not understand why you are changing, why you no longer live according to the old pattern, why you have begun to choose peace instead of chaos, obedience instead of yielding to fear, and my quiet path instead of the noisy ways of the world. They may mock. They may call it a passing emotion. They may tell you that you are dreaming too far. But, my child, do not let the voice of the crowd drown out my voice. My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. As John 10:27 says, you are not called to please everyone, but to walk rightly in my will. The invisible chains of prejudice, fear, insecurity, and the past no longer have the right to keep you in the place I have told you to leave. When I open a new season, you must learn to release the old garments, the old reasons, and the old limits you once used to explain why you could not move forward. Remember Jonathan, the son of Saul. On the day when the Philistines held the advantage, and the people trembled in fear, he did not have a great army in his hand, nor did he have every assurance of human strategy. He had only one armor-bearer with him, and a faith that I could save by many or by few. He said, perhaps the Lord will act for us. For nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few, as 1 Samuel 14:6 says. Do you see? That is faith that knows how to move forward, even without the whole map. Jonathan did not wait for everyone to agree, did not wait for circumstances to become easy, and did not for fear to disappear before he stepped forward. He climbed up among sharp rocks with humble trust, and I used that courage to shake the enemy camp. In the same way, beloved child, there are victories I will open when you are willing to step by faith, even if that step is small, even if your heart still trembles, even if others have not yet seen what I am speaking within your soul. Therefore, make your heart good soil, tender before my word and steadfast in waiting. The signs I send, the quiet reminders, the timely encounters, the doors slightly opened, the closures filled with protection. All of them may be like small seeds sown into your life. If you leave them neglected in distraction, they will be choked by worry and noise. But if you nurture them with prayer, watchfulness, gratitude, and patience, they will take root and bear fruit in the proper season. The seed that fell on good soil represents those who hear the word, hold it fast in an honest and good heart, and bear fruit with perseverance. As Luke 80:15 says, I do not sow meaningless things into you. Every word I place within your heart carries life. But you must guard it from doubt, from haste, and from the habit of comparing your season with someone else's. You must also understand that no detail in your journey lies outside my care. The stops that seem to slow you down, the turns you did not plan, the days when you must wait longer than you hoped, even the silences that confuse you, all of them can become threads in the tapestry I am weaving. You often look at your life from the underside of the embroidery, seeing only knots, tangled threads, and patches of color whose image is not yet clear. But from where I see, everything is being arranged into a holy order. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. As Proverbs 3:5-6 says, I do not arrange your life to make you afraid, but to help you mature, not to exhaust you, but to help you discover a strength that does not come from yourself, not to let you lose your way, but to teach you to recognize me in every circumstance. Now be watchful, but do not be tense. Be ready, but do not be hasty. Move forward, but always remain under my guidance. When you are not sure how great the next step should be, do what I have placed right before you. When you do not yet understand the whole plan, be faithful with the portion of light you have received. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. As Psalm 11:90-105 says, that lamp often does not illuminate the entire long road all at once. It gives enough light for the next step, so that you may learn to walk closer to me day by day. Do not despise small obedience, because many great doors are opened through small steps taken in faith. Do not look down on hidden days, because roots do not grow amid applause. Yet those very roots will keep the tree standing when strong winds come. My child, the old season no longer has the authority to define your future. I am calling you out of the narrow room of self-imposed limits and into the wider land of grace. You do not need to become someone else in order for me to use you. You only need to open your heart and allow my Spirit to soften what is hard, heal what is wounded, brighten what is dim, and rekindle what has grown cold. Then your life will become living evidence of what I can do through a soul willing to believe, willing to listen, willing to step forward, and willing to be transformed. Go in peace, beloved child. I have gone before you, prepared what you need, placed signs along the road, and kept every breath of yours within my purpose. When you cross the bridge of faith, you will not fall into emptiness. You will step into my hand, where everything that seems scattered is gathered into a beautiful testimony of your Father's faithfulness, which never goes astray.